Salutations, and welcome to Vadam's Halo Mod Class. This will be a collection of tutorial videos for modding the Halo games featured on the Master Chief Collection. I'll be teaching you what I know about modding Halo to hopefully inspire you to start creating modded content yourself. For this class, whenever I drop a new module, I'll list each of the Halo games that are compatible with the information that I'll be covering. For example, if the techniques I'm demonstrating only work in Halo Reach and Halo 4, you'll see their respective icons on the corner of the screen throughout the lesson. This video will serve as the introduction for my class. As of this module's posting, we are currently limited on the amount of available mod tools, with the most accessible tool being Assembly, a map editor that was developed and tested by everyone mentioned in this picture. For the foreseeable future, my tutorial videos will be centered around the Assembly program. If or when official mod tools from 3.4.3 release, once I learn how to use and master those tools, I'll incorporate what I've learned from them into the Halo Mod class. We'll begin this class with the installation process for Assembly. We'll go to the downloader page on the Assembly's GitHub site, and I'll provide a link for that in the description. Acquire the downloader, and once it's done downloading, run the program. When it opens, you're tasked with selecting one of the available branches. Go with whichever is the most recent version. If both versions use the same version number as shown here, simply download the master branch. Pick a place to have all the assembly files installed. Once that's done, we can run Assembly. Assembly is a hex editor that has been designed to be much more accessible for Halo modding than just about any other hex editor out there. Instead of using a traditional hex editor such as HXD to edit a map file's tags through finding various hex codes, the process is much faster and easier to comprehend with Assembly. This program doesn't just edit hex code, however. It can also import and export tag data, create mod patches, decompress certain map files, and much more. Currently, all of the Halo games on the MCC except for Halo Combat Evolved are supported on the main branch of Assembly, but there's a separate fork made by Dragonflare 921 that you can download that has Halo CE support. However, you'll need to use the community version of Visual Studio 2019 in order to compile it and get it up and running. To do this, follow the link in the description that will take you to the Halo CE fork. Make sure that the Dev First Gen fork is selected, then click on Code, then download zip. You'll also want to download the community version of Visual Studio 2019 if you don't have it already. When preparing to install the program, make sure that both .NET Desktop Development and Desktop Development with C++ are both checked off. Once Visual Studio is done installing, go to the place that you downloaded the assembly fork, then go into the src folder and find the assembly.sln file and open it. On top of the page, make sure that the solution platforms is set to Win64 and solution configurations is set to release. Then select Start. It'll take a few seconds to compile the assembly branch, and when it's done, it'll automatically open this different version of assembly that has Halo 1 support. In Assembly, to open up a map file, you can either click File then Open, or click on the Open Content File option underneath the start string. For Steam users, the maps will be located in Steam Apps, Common, and Halo the Master Chief Collection. For the Windows Store, it's in Program Files, Modifiable Windows Apps, then Halo MCC. In the MCC directory, you'll see the directories for each of the Halo games, and each one will have a Maps folder. Click on any of the maps you want to mod. If you want to know which maps are which, you can go into the Help tab on Assembly and it'll show you the maps with their corresponding map file names. Something I highly recommend you do before making any changes to the map files is creating backups of all the maps you wish to modify. This way, if you mess up, or if you just want to play the original content, you won't have to revalidate your game files just to gain access to that one original map you forgot to make a copy of. Another thing I like to do with my modding projects is writing down all of my changes somewhere, like on a notepad document. This can especially be useful when working with multiple map files that will share the same type of modded content, for example. Now let's dive into the guts of a Halo map. For this example, we'll be opening Halo Reach's Forge World. When you open any Halo map that's supported by Assembly, you'll be welcomed by the header page, which tells you what you need to know about which type of map you're playing on and what version of MCC is meant to be used for. Keep in mind that at the time of this video's recording, the PC version of MCC is still being updated. And until that form of support is over, we'll be dealing with different versions of the map files that may or may not be compatible with certain MCC updates. When an update that specifically changes certain aspects of Halo Reach drops, for example, Don't be surprised if one of your older Halo Reach mods will no longer work for the newest update. So until 343 Industries comes up with a way to preserve older modded maps when an update comes out, keep all of this on your radar when working on large-scale modding projects. Above the map file name, next to header, there are also tabs named Tags, Strings, and Scripts. Let's move on to the Tags tab. Clicking on this will reveal a whole list of scary looking words. So, what exactly are tags? Every Halo map is made up of tags, which are containers that hold information for various aspects of the map, whether it's for a weapon, a character, a vehicle, shaders, scenery objects, and much more. A common trend that's seen in a lot of tags is other tags being referenced within a single tag. This usually occurs when the group of connected tags make up the components for any singular piece of content. For example, let's look at the assault rifle's weapon tag. The weapon tag for the assault rifle is essentially the central hub that connects everything about the weapon together. Inside this tag, we can see reference to the assault rifle's model tag, first person animation tag, the HUD tag, the projectile tag, various effect tags, and much more. As we look throughout the assault rifle's weapon tag, not only do we see those other tag references, but we also see a bunch of labels alongside sets of numbers. The numbers are values that control the various features of the tag. To change how this tag works compared to how it's used in vanilla gameplay, we need to change one of these values. For example, the assault rifle has a fire rate of 10 rounds per second, and the corresponding numerical value for this is indeed 10. I'll explain in a future module the significance behind the minimum and maximum values for the rate of fire, but for now, since both of these are 10, that means the assault rifle's fire rate will always be 10 rounds per second while it's firing. If we change these numbers to 15 for instance, this will give the assault rifle a fire rate of 15 rounds per second. Now, we can't just type the numbers in and expect the game to automatically make the change. There's another step to this process. There are two ways to have a modified tag perform in game. At the bottom of the page, there's options for save and poke. Clicking on save will do as you'd expect. Save all the changes you made to this tag, and when you go and boot up the level, the changes will automatically play out. Keep in mind that you cannot click save while the map you're modifying is running on MCC. You have to exit the game and go back to the main menu in order to save your changes. The poke option is different, however. It requires the modified map to be running while you're making changes to it in assembly. While the map is running, make any changes you want, then click the poke option. You'll see that your modifications will actually change mid-game. Clicking poke won't save your changes like before, and when you exit the level, all of your changes will revert back to normal. Poking is typically a good way to test how your changes play out on the fly instead of having to exit the map, click save, and boot the map up over and over again. As you get used to making modified content, the poke option will become your best friend. There will be instances where certain changes cannot be poked, and I'll cover those in future episodes. Another way to modify tags is to swap out the tag references. For example, let's look at the assault rifle's projectile tag, which is the assault rifle bullet. Let's say we want this to shoot the Spartan laser beam every time this weapon fires. We'll click on the drop down and find the Spartan laser beam projectile. We will click poke, and now our assault rifle is firing Spartan laser beams. A faster way to find what you're looking for is to use the search function and type in the tag you're looking for, although this will require you to know the exact name of the tag you're trying to find. We can even take this a step further and completely change what our weapon fires. What if we don't want our assault rifle to shoot weapon projectiles at all, but something entirely different? To do this, let's click on the smaller drop-down box on the left that says PROJ, which is the abbreviation for projectile. We're going to have our assault rifle shoot a bunch of 343 guilty sparks. We'll find the BIPD tag group, or in this case biped, and find the monitor editor tag in the larger dropdown. We click poke, and every time our assault rifle fires, a monitor is born. While we're still on the subject of poking and saving map changes, I like to bring up the Halo 2 classic maps as well as the Halo 1 maps if you're using Dragonflare 921's branch. These maps provide a unique situation where the maps are in a compressed state. In order for us to even open them in assembly, we have to decompress them. Luckily, assembly comes with a tool that can decompress the Halo 1 and 2 map files for modification. For this, we go to Tools, then the Halo MCC Map Decompressor option. We'll click on the small box with the ellipses and select the Halo 1 or 2 map of your choosing. Halo 2 Classic maps are located in the H2 Maps 164DX11 folder, and Halo 1 maps are found in Original, Build, then Maps. Once you have selected a map, click on the Decompress button. Now, we're able to modify our Halo 2 Classic or Halo 1 map, but keep in mind that MCC will refuse to load any Halo 2 or Halo 1 maps that are decompressed, so once you've finished making your changes, you'll need to recompress the map using the tool. This also presents another unique situation when it comes to poking. Since we can only open a Halo 2 Classic map in assembly when it's decompressed, and MCC can only run compressed Halo 2 Classic maps, we won't be able to poke changes into an active Halo 2 game, so we'll need to find another way to do it. With a decompressed map that you made, make a copy of that map and place it anywhere except the Maps folder, and make sure to leave it decompressed. Now, recompress the original map and open the copied map in assembly. As long as the copied map is the exact same as the original minus the compression state, we're able to poke changes into our active Halo 2 or Halo 1 map. I'm going to go on a very small tangent, but this is very important. You absolutely must run MCC with Easy Anti-Cheat disabled if you want to play modded content. Otherwise, modded maps will refuse to load. On Steam, you click the second option that mentions disabling anti-cheat. For the Windows Store version, you'll click on the executable that mentions the anti-cheat being disabled. Moving on from tag editing, we find ourselves in the strings section. Strings are essentially the messages that appear on your HUD. Example of these include the message for picking up a weapon, the message for standing next to a vehicle seat, and the message that tells you how many seconds you have left in order to respawn. I do plan to have an episode dedicated to strings in the future, but for now, all you need to know is that strings can be modified by changing the text that's present in any given string entry to whatever you want that entry to say. Next to strings is scripts. Scripts are a list of various commands that the map will follow as it's being played. Currently, these map scripts cannot be compiled on the main branch of assembly, but there are other branches of assembly that members of the modding community have made, such as this one by Snipestyle, that come with a built-in script compiler. I personally don't have much experience with editing scripts, so if I do plan on having an episode dedicated to this topic, I might just invite someone into this class who has much more experience with script editing and compilation to have them show you how it's done. The last feature I like to talk about for our course introduction is assembly patches. If you've installed patches to play mods for other games before, then you basically already know what an assembly patch is, but for those who aren't aware, a patch is a file that contains all the information from your modified map, and it can be applied to an unmodified map so it'll inherit your modified content. Creating patches for your map mods can be convenient for not only yourself, but for others who'd like to download your work, and this is thanks to an assembly patch being much smaller in file size than a standard map file. Assembly comes with the ability to create map patches as well as applying and even poking them to vanilla maps. To create a patch, we'll start at the file path section. For unmodified map, find a clean unmodified version of the map you're modding. Then for the modified map, find your modded map. For the output patch section, select a place anywhere on your computer and give your assembly patch a file name of your choosing. For patch details, give your patch a proper name, then edit your desired author name, write down a description of your mod, and you are ready to create your patch. To apply an existing patch, find the patch file, then find the unmodified map associated with that patch, and for the last section, pick a place anywhere on your computer and have the name of the output file be the same as the map file you're replacing. So if you're replacing Forge_Halo with a modified version of that, have the output name also be Forge_Halo. There is something important about map patches that I'd like to mention, however. As I said earlier in the video, keep in mind that the MCC is still being updated at the time of this video's posting, and when a new update drops that changes the vanilla maps in any way, this will render the assembly patches that you made for older map versions null and void unless players kept copies of those older map files. And that will wrap up our introductory course for my Halo Mod class. If you have any questions about what was covered in today's lesson, please leave a comment with your inquiry and I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as I can. You may also leave suggestions on what topics I should cover for the next lesson, but please keep the ideas basic for the time being, as we're still in the beginning phases of our class. If, and only if, you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, leave a comment to get me into that juicy algorithm, and subscribe for more Halo content on this channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video. This is the Vengeful Vadam, and I'll see you on the great journey. Thank you for coming to my class.